The eternal thirst, the unparalleled sacrifice of Hazrat Abbas in the sands of Karbala. The sun rose over Karbala like a burning brand pressed against the flesh of the earth, its merciless glare transforming the desert into a shimmering expanse of suffering. The year was 680 AD, the month of Muharram, and the land itself seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the tragedy about to unfold. The Euphrates, that ancient river of life, flowed just beyond reach, its waters mocking the parched lips of those who had taken their stand for truth against the swelling tide of tyranny. In the center of this gathering storm stood Hazrat Abbas ibn Ali, a figure carved from the same celestial clay as his father, Imam Ali, the Lion of Allah. From his earliest days, Abbas had been nurtured in the house of prophethood, drinking from the same fountain of wisdom that had quenched the thirst of saints and scholars. Now, at 34 years of age, his physical presence was awe-inspiring, standing nearly 6.5 feet tall, with shoulders broad enough to bear the weight of empires, yet gentle enough to cradle a weeping child. His eyes, the color of polished onyx, could flash with righteous fury on the battlefield, yet soften to liquid compassion when resting upon his beloved niece, Sakina. The crisis had begun when Yazid, the debauched ruler in Damascus, demanded allegiance from Imam Hussain. The choice was stark: swear loyalty to corruption or uphold the truth, even at the cost of everything. When Hussain chose principle over survival, Abbas stood beside him without hesitation. Their journey toward Kufa had become a death march when the promised support evaporated like morning dew, leaving Hussein's small caravan of 72 souls surrounded by Yazid's army of thousands. Now, on the 7th day of Muharram, the siege reached its cruelest phase. Umar ibn Sa'ad, commander of Yazid's forces, had ordered the blockade of the Euphrates. The river's life-giving waters became a taunting mirage as the sun beat down mercilessly. Children's lips cracked and bled, their swollen tongues clinging to the roofs of their mouths. The women's once melodious voices became rasping whispers. Little Sakina, just 4 years old, would wake from fitful sleeps crying, "Al-Atash! Al-Atash! Thirst! Thirst!" her tiny body racked with dehydration. It was on the afternoon of the 9th day that Sakina stumbled toward her uncle, her bare feet burning on the scorching sand. She tugged weakly at Abbas's battle-worn cloak, her once bright eyes now dull with suffering. "Ya Ammu," she whispered, using the affectionate term for uncle. "My throat burns like fire. Please, just 1 drop of water." In that moment, something in Abbas's mighty heart shattered. He lifted her gently, feeling how light she had become, how her little body trembled with weakness. The tears that fell from his eyes left tracks in the dust on his face as he made his promise. "By Allah, my flower, I will bring you water or join the angels trying." The following morning, after receiving Imam Hussein's reluctant permission, Abbas prepared for his mission. He dressed carefully in his battle attire, the chainmail forged by his father's own hands, the sword that had tasted victory at Siffin and Nahrawan. As he mounted his steed, the women of the camp gathered, their desperate hopes clinging to him like shadows. Layla, his mother, pressed a kiss to his forehead, whispering prayers that tasted of salt tears. His sister Zainab tied the alam, the battle standard of Hussein's camp, to his saddle with trembling fingers. The children, too weak to stand, watched from where they lay in the scant shade of the tents. The charge toward the Euphrates became legend that day. Abbas rode like the very wind of judgment, his sword flashing like lightning against the storm of enemies. The first wave broke before him like reeds before a hurricane. The second fell back in terror. By the time he reached the riverbank, a strange silence had fallen over the battlefield, as if even nature paused to witness what would unfold. The Euphrates glittered before him, its cool waters singing a siren song of relief. Abbas dismounted slowly, his muscles trembling from exertion. He knelt at the river's edge, cupping the clear water in his massive hands. As he brought it to his lips, a vision flashed before him. Sakina's sunken cheeks, Zainab's cracked lips, the hollow eyes of the children. With a cry that echoed across the waters, he flung the water back into the river. "How can I drink when the daughters of the Prophet perish of thirst?" The words tore from his throat like a confession. Filling the waterskin with hands that now shook not from fatigue but from sacred rage, Abbas turned back toward the camp. This was when the enemy revealed their true cowardice. Rather than face him honorably, they attacked from the high ground, raining arrows down upon him. The first struck his right arm, severing tendons and muscle. As his sword fell from useless fingers, Abbas transferred the waterskin to his left hand. Then came the second volley, this time shearing through his left arm at the elbow. Still he clung to the waterskin with his teeth, the leather straps cutting into his face as he spurred his horse forward. The final betrayal came from the rooftops. A massive stone crashed down upon his head, crushing his skull even as a spear pierced his chest. As he fell from his horse, the last sound to leave his lips was not a cry of pain, but a whispered prayer. "Ya Hussain, forgive me. I could not bring water to Sakina." When Imam Hussain reached his brother's broken body, the sight would have felled a lesser man. The mighty Abbas, reduced to a mass of blood and shattered bone, yet still clutching the empty waterskin between his teeth. Hussein's anguished cry split the very heavens as he cradled his brother's head. "Now my back is broken, my strength gone. Oh, Abbas, who will protect the women now? Who will stand with me when the final hour comes?" The return to camp was the longest journey of Hussein's life. The children, seeing him approach alone, began to wail. Sakina ran forward, her tiny feet kicking up puffs of dust. "Where is Amu Abbas?" she cried, her voice the sound of a heart breaking. Hussain could only kneel and gather her into his arms, his tears falling into her matted hair. "He has gone where there is no thirst, my darling, where the rivers flow with milk and honey, and no child cries for water." That night, as the camp lay in stunned silence, the Euphrates continued its endless journey to the sea. Its waters, which had refused themselves to the purest of souls, now seemed to flow in mourning. Some say the river's song that night was different, a lament for the arms that had embraced orphans, for the hands that had carried water they would never taste, for the lips that had smiled at children while dying of thirst themselves. In the centuries since, the story of Abbas has become more than history. It is a living testament to the power of selfless love. Every time a person chooses principle over comfort, every time someone suffers so others may drink, every time loyalty stands firm in the face of impossible odds, the spirit of Abbas rides again. The river still flows, but its waters remember. And on quiet nights, when the wind blows across the plains of Karbala, you can still hear the echo of a promise made to a thirsty child: "I will bring you water or die trying."